Welcome, all my fellow Redskin brethren and sister. It's news that's nightly about the Redskins. Welcome to the Redskins Nightly News. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. So, I've been kind of gathering a lot of information as to how Redskins fans feel after two starts of Dwayne Haskins. And I preached patience before he got his first career NFL start. I preached patience after his first career NFL start. I preached patience going into his second career NFL start. And I'm here preaching more patience after his second career NFL start. Now, I think the expectations, because of what other guys are doing, and I've always said this, and it goes in one ear, out the other, but I'm going to continue to reiterate this. Everyone does not mature at the same rate. And it seems to be this narrative out there that if you don't just come into the NFL and hit the ground running and start kicking ass as soon as you get here, then you're going to be a bust. And that couldn't be farther from the truth. Now, with the quarterback position, it's a little bit different than any other position on the field. I kind of feel that way about offensive line, tackle in particular. Like, generally, either you can or you can't play tackle. At the quarterback position, generally, either you can or you can't play. Now, Dwayne Haskins has shown us that he can play at this level. Either you can or you can't. Now, the next question is, can you be elite? Because there are 64 quarterbacks right now, currently, starters and backups, that have proven they can play in this league. Some have proven that they can play at a very high level. Others have proved that they can just be a placeholder. Others have proved that they are certified backups and nothing more, nothing less. But all have proven that they can play in this league. I think Haskins has shown enough that I believe he can play in this league. Now the question is, can he be elite? I don't know the answer to that right now. But I do know this, that he needs more time to develop, and this is why playing is important. Now, you watched what happened to the Jets last week versus the Giants, and everyone's going crazy because Daniel Jones went out and threw for over 300 yards and 4 touchdown passes versus this same Jets defense, yet Dwayne Haskins barely was able to get over 200 yards, did have 2 touchdown passes, but it came in garbage time, and he looked flustered in the first half of this game. Yes, he did look flustered. You know why? It was his second career NFL start, okay? Now, if you want to talk about Daniel Jones, sure. Daniel Jones came in, first career NFL start versus the Tampa Bay Bucks, had this hellacious come-from-behind victory, played well. He made mistakes in that game too, but he played well down the stretch, gave them a chance. They ended up winning that football game. He made plays, right? But he's also had how many starts now under his belt? I can't remember. But did he start week 2, week 3? It was one of those weeks. And now we're in week number 11, or it was 10 when he started versus the Jets. So you're talking about either 8 or 9 weeks of starting for Daniel Jones, 7 weeks of starting somewhere in there for Daniel Jones versus just 2. And I'm not here to make a bunch of excuses for Dwayne Haskins. Bottom line is, it's early in this man's maturation, yet everyone's throwing dirt on this man. You know what I mean? I don't quite understand why everyone wants to be so quick to rush to judgment on whether he's going to be a bust or a good NFL quarterback. Like, are we seriously doing that after 2? Like, I can't stand the precedents that was set last year with the Arizona Cardinals and Josh Rosen, because everyone now believes that that is okay, that is the way you go about finding out if your guy can play or not. I just watched Marcus Mariota get 4 years in, or is it 5? I think it was 5 years in Tennessee. I'm watching Jameis Winston get his 5th year in Tampa Bay. All right. And the jury's still out on whether both of those guys can play at a high level in this league. I think we know that Jameis Winston is a turnover machine, but he also has thrown for well over 4,000 yards multiple times in his career, right? With Marcus Mariota, I think we all feel like if he gets in the right system, he could really be an elite NFL quarterback, all right? Now I'm looking at guys like Dwayne Haskins and Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold and all these younger quarterbacks. And I'm thinking to myself, they need time, because I don't like Sam Darnold. I'm not a Sam Darnold guy. Doesn't mean he can't be a good quarterback in this league. And he's had his moments, all right? He's had his moments where he's thrown left-handed interceptions, but he's also had his moments where he's carved NFL defenses up. like he did against us on Sunday, like he did against the Cowboys about 3 weeks back. So all I'm saying is patience. It's a virtue. Give this man an opportunity to prove that he can't do it. Everyone wants to rush to some kind of judgment on him already. He can't do it or he can do it. How about you just wait to see if he can or he can't? How about that? This is not the greatest environment for him to thrive in. I hate the fact that he had to come into this situation. First of all, I hate the fact that he had to be drafted by such a dysfunctional organization. That's number one. Number two, I hate the fact that he had to be drug into a situation where you had a lame duck head coach that was most likely going to be fired at the first sign of trouble this season, and he was. I hate the fact that the guy that took over probably has seen the NFL pass him by about 10 years ago, but yet was given the keys to the car, and now Dwayne has to get into the car with a guy that really is driving at a 31 mile an hour pace in a 55 mile an hour zone. It's sickening. It's disheartening, but that's the hand that Dwayne Haskins was dealt. Not to mention, he has no tight ends which to speak of to throw to. There is no Chris Thompson, which would have helped him out greatly throughout this entire process. And oh, by the way, I don't know if anybody actually loves the receiving core that's out on the field with him outside of McLaurin. I like Harmon a lot, but it's one game of Harmon, but I like Harmon. I like what I've seen. I want to see more. And I think Trey Quinn's okay. He's not great. He's not Jamison Crowder, but I think he's fine. But it's not an ideal situation for him to thrive in, to be honest with you, okay? However, I've seen flashes. And if you want to be honest, from game 1 versus Buffalo to game 2, I saw improvement. I also saw some things that I didn't like. But guess what? That comes with the territory. We asked for this, okay? We wanted this. We wanted to see him play. Now that he's playing, don't complain, because we said he's going to make some mistakes. That comes with the growing process. There are growing pains that come with him throwing the football more. All right? Yeah, less mistakes when you only throw it 22 times. More mistakes when you throw it 33 times. More mistakes if he actually gets to throw it 40 times. These things are going to take place, but also we're seeing flashes of greatness. And those are the things that I'm going to continue to cling to, because the mistakes are going to happen, and I feel like we can correct some of them. Some of them you may not be able to. I always feel like either you have touch as a quarterback or you don't. I don't think you develop touch. I don't know if Dwayne Haskins has touch. I told you a lot of his balls come out 97 miles an hour. Fastballs, I'm straight up hot sauce to go. I'm like, whoa, bruh. That man is literally 4 yards away from you. You don't have to throw a sidearm 97 mile an hour slider. That's not what we're looking for right now. All right? You got Jeremy Sprinkle running wide open in the end zone. I don't need you to pull the string on that thing and leave it 2 yards short and force him to dive for it. Lead him into the back of the end zone. So I think he's got a touch issue. And if that's the case, so be it. I think that's why that out route, it sails. Some of that is footwork. Some of it is a lack of touch. I don't think he has feathery, soft touch, and that's okay. I know a lot of quarterbacks that don't have feathery, soft touch. I know a lot of them. And maybe he does, and I just haven't seen it yet. But the things that I've seen from him that are mistakes that are being made, I feel like they can be cleaned up. Misreads, misdiagnosis. Not setting the protection correctly, not analyzing and realizing that they're coming with more than you can block and you need to get rid of the football. These are all things that are correctable and mistakes that young rookies make. So I'm encouraged by that. I'm encouraged by the fact that, okay, so he didn't see Kelvin Harmon on that crowd. And I talked about this on the R3. Kelvin Harmon running wide open on a crosser that he would have walked in the end zone on. So he didn't see that. And he forces it to Trey Quinn on an out route and airmails him by 8 yards. He goes back, watches film, and he sees, man, I missed an opportunity. The next time that opportunity comes his way, he won't miss. I feel confident in saying that. And the things that he did in that game, some of those throws, you can't teach that. Either you can or you can't. Jake Locker, Blaine Gabbert, they weren't doing that. They can't do that. That's not in their repertoire. Okay? Some guys can't do it. E.J. Manuel can't do what we saw Dwayne Haskins do on Sunday. That throw to McLaurin that got called back for 67 yards, there's only a handful of guys in the league that could pull that off. Okay? I'm serious. That 2-point conversion play where he avoids the rush, steps up, and then hits Trey Quinn on that 2-point conversion, I told you, that's elite quarterback stuff. That first possession, third down of the second half that he throws to Kelvin Harmon, that's a thing of beauty, to manipulate the pocket, step up, buy yourself some time, and then throw a dart over the middle of the football field on third and long. Come on, man. That's top level, high grade stuff. Not everybody's able to do those things. So that's encouraging to me. So I'm going to grasp and hold on to those things because anybody can't just do those things. You know, the mistakes that he made, anybody can make those mistakes. They can be corrected. So I choose not to focus on those as much because I expect him to correct some of those mistakes. He may not correct all of them. And then the interception, and my man at Checkmate 21 hit me up and was like, hey, that wasn't Dwayne Haskins' fault. That Trey Quinn can't sit down and then decide to move at the last second. Yeah, it was Trey Quinn's fault and it was Dwayne Haskins' fault, okay? Those two things can be true on the same play. You know, it's not just one person's fault necessarily on a mistake. Two people can make a mistake on the same play and cause a turnover. And that's what happened. Dwayne should have never even been looking at Trey Quinn on that play. I went back and watched. Darius Geis is wide open in the flats. That's where he should have probably been looking. Trey Quinn was double covered. Even if he catches that football, where is he going? Where is he going? Nowhere. That's not where he should have been throwing the football. Geis out in the flats, wide ass open. I think that's where you go with the football there. So again, these are all things that I think he can work on. Yeah, Trey Quinn can't sit down and then decide, I don't like this spot, I'm going to move. Well, too late. You already showed the quarterback your numbers. You've already showed the quarterback your eyes. Stay there. But he moved. He was wrong. So was Dwayne Haskins. I think he'll improve on those types of things. He'll learn. He'll get better. I'm confident on that. But you got to give this guy an opportunity to make mistakes. It's amazing how people are just piling on this guy as if he was supposed to just come in and just hit the ground running and not make any mistakes. Mistakes are going to happen. And I thought he was very skittish at the beginning of the game. I thought he was nervous, to be honest with you. And that's why I wanted his first start to be on the road. Because I knew he was going to be nervous first start at FedEx Field. I knew he was going to be nervous. Even though there was only 17 fans there, I knew he was going to be nervous either way because he had family there. And he wanted to perform well. And he put a lot of extra, undue, unnecessary pressure on himself to perform. I knew this was going to happen. That's why I wanted him to start his first game on the road and get those jitters out. But it still happened anyway. And that's fine. I expect him to be much better versus the Lions. And here's another thing. Because Dak Prescott went and scorched the Detroit Lions for 443 yards or 444 yards or 400 and whatever yards that he scorched them for this past week, doesn't mean Dwayne is going to do the same thing. Dak Prescott is in his fourth, count them, 1, 2, 3, fourth season. All right? Dwayne Haskins is going into his third start. Count them up, 1, 2, 3, third start. So I'm not expecting him to go out and blaze them for 337 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. It'd be nice. But with this offensive line, and to be honest with you, I don't have, again, I've reiterated this before, I don't have a problem with the offensive line. I don't. Are they perfect? No. Are they great? Probably not. But they're more than serviceable, okay? I know a number of quarterbacks that are behind way worse lines. All right. In this league, you got to find a way to get it done. All right. And so whether they're sending 5 or they're sending 4 or they're sending 6 or they're sending 7, Dwayne's got to figure it out. He's got to figure it out. If you got a 5-man protection and they're sending 6, guess what? They're coming with one more than you can block. You got to get rid of the goddamn football. And he's got to learn that. And he will. Okay. It's not rocket science. He'll figure all of these things out. And yeah, Greg Williams, all of these blitzes weren't exotic, but Greg came with the kitchen sink, man. I went back and I watched and I'm like, Greg, you dirty bastard, you. You sly dog, you. You dirty devil. He came with some shit, man. Greg came with the kitchen sink a couple of times. 6 and 7 man pressures, and he came with one guy off this side and another guy off this side, or they overloaded the right side, they dropped out, and the guy came from the left side, and he slid protection to the right. Now you got a free hitter coming off the left. I mean, Greg did some really creative shit, man. But that's why I told you I'm a Greg Williams guy, okay? Greg is a very, very medieval son of a bitch. I love me some Greg Williams, man. That is one son of a bitch there, boy. And he came with it. Greg turned the heat up in the kitchen on Dwayne's ass. That shit was on 475. And if you thought it was bad against the Bills, that shit was on 300 versus the Bills. It wasn't that damn hot. That was just the preheat. This shit was hot. Greg turned it up. He's a maniacal son of a bitch. Damn, it was some shit that Greg threw at him. His head was spinning, especially early in the game. That's why you saw all these damn checkdowns, and I'm like, Dwayne, bruh, what are we doing right now? You can't check that down. But his head was spinning, man. He was nervous, and then Greg didn't make it any better with all the exotics he threw at him. So I said all of that to say this. Time is on our side. We aren't going anywhere right now. We're 1-9, okay? We're 1-9. We're not in a rush or a hurry to go anywhere. Patience. It's a virtue. Give the man time to learn his craft, to get better, to make mistakes and get better. That's the thing, is he's got to be able to make mistakes and feel comfortable in making those mistakes and getting better from those mistakes. And people just aren't really giving him that rope to allow himself to get better. Everyone wants to just hang this man. Stop. Stop. If you're a real Redskins fan, then you should be rooting for his success, not preying on his downfall. You may not like Dwayne Haskins. I told you, I was not a fan of drafting Dwayne Haskins. I did not want Dwayne Haskins. But guess what? He is a member of the Washington Redskins now. He is a part of the family. You should be rooting for his success. You should not be rooting for the Redskins to be drafting another quarterback in the 2020 draft. That makes no sense. None. You want the fastest path back to prosperity? Obviously, it starts up front in the front office by getting rid of Bruce Allen's ass. But if you want to start on the field, on the fastest track back to prosperity, it's that Dwayne Haskins is good so we can start focusing on the other parts of this roster. All of you out there that keep talking about wanting to draft a quarterback, you don't get it. Dwayne Haskins being successful helps fast track this process exponentially. If he's not good, we've got to do this all over again in 2021, in 2022. And then we've got to stink again because the rookie that comes in, it's probably not going to be very good right off the bat. And even if he is very good, we probably still are going to stink. You have to understand that his success is better for all of us. So even if you do not like Haskins, you did not want Haskins. I did not want Haskins, but he's here. And he's shown me some things. I'm on board. You should get on board too if you're not. And look, I'm not telling you how to root for this team. If you don't like Dwayne Haskins and you want him to fail, do you? I can't tell you who you should or shouldn't root for. But if you're not rooting for Dwayne Haskins, then what are you here for? That's my question. You want to be right? You rather have Dwayne Haskins stink and you be right about him being a bust than him be good. You be wrong about him being a bust and his team actually end up being good. I don't understand the psychological sense that makes. If you think that makes sense, you need to wash your face and get your mind right. Just don't understand. Patience, people. Patience. Patience. It pays off. All right? Patience. Pass it on. All right? I have patience. I'm passing it on to you. You take that patience, you embed it, pull a piece back out, pass it to the next Redskins fan, and repeat the process. Patience, pull a piece off, pass it on. All right, let's move on to in other news. And before we get to our Redskins social media maneuvers, let's talk about a story that I don't think got enough pub last week. It's gaining a little bit of steam now, and it could be the beginning of the end of Monte Nicholson in Washington. So I received a message on IG from my man MJA the family. And I appreciate the message, MJA. And so he got this post from Redskins Today, another pertinent IG follow if you're a Redskins fan. And so he got his information, Redskins Today did, from TMZ, as you can see on the screen. But remember, last week, Monte Nicholson and another individual dropped off a young lady that used to be romantically involved with Monte Nicholson. So an ex-girlfriend, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. I was trying to be politically correct, but F all of that. An ex-girlfriend of his, someone he was involved with back in the past, was unconscious, unresponsive. They dropped her off at the hospital, and they left. Okay? They left. Now, Monte was reportedly very cooperative with the authorities. That person that they dropped off at the hospital later died. Okay? So she died of an overdose. That is the report. All right? So then, the authorities reportedly searched Monte Nicholson's home, and as you can read at the bottom there, pills, weed, and foil with residue, which we all know what that means, were found in Monte Nicholson's home when searched by the police. All of that adds up to a situation that could get pretty damn murky for Monte Nicholson. All right? This is not the first time Monte has had a run-in with the law. Remember, he got in trouble last year with the fight at the end of the season, was suspended, or not necessarily suspended, was sent home by the Redskins and pretty much just didn't return. Redskins had at that point had already benched him in favor of Clinton Dix, so he wasn't really playing all that much. But they just put him on ice last year, and he came back this year. The charges were dropped, and he was back on the football field. Well, this situation happened with his friend last week. The Redskins still elected to play him. A lot of people in the media beat the Redskins up for that. I'm not going to. I'm going to reserve judgment on that situation because I don't know what Monte Nicholson's wishes were. Maybe the best thing for him to do was to play. Maybe he said to himself, if I sit at home, I'm going to wallow in my own misery and probably, do some more drugs. Okay? All right? I might do some things that I don't want to do. All right? So instead of doing that, how about I go play football to take my mind off of some of the things that have transpired this week? Maybe that was his thought process. Maybe the Redskins should have stepped in, and maybe the right thing to do was to say, Monte, you're in no mental condition to play. How about you take the weekend off? Maybe that was the right thing to do. I don't know. I'm no moral judge. I just know that he played in the game. He did not play very well, so that led a lot of people to believe that he wasn't in the right mental mindset and frame of mind to play in a football game. Maybe that was the case because he did not have a good game. Remember, Monte was one of the guys that I vented about after the game was done. That being said, if those things are true, if they found pills and weed, which the pills and the weed, okay, look, I'm not going to kill him for that. All right. It's the foil with the residue that I'm a little nervous about. And I can't confirm nor deny that he actually had anything to do with the foil with the residue. Maybe the person that overdosed, that passed away, maybe she was the only one partaking in the foil with the residue. I'm just saying, generally speaking, and this isn't always the case, but probably 85.67% of the time, birds of a feather flock together. So I'm not saying, once again, I'm just saying, hopefully Monte Nicholson, one, is okay, mentally and physically, and hopefully he's not abusing drugs. Number two, hopefully Monte Nicholson didn't have anything to do with the death of that young lady. And number three, hopefully he's able to get his shit in order off the field so that he can get his shit in order on the field, because Monte Nicholson is talented. We've seen the best of Monte. We've seen the worst of Monte. We know how good he can be. We know how bad he can be. The good far outweighs the bad, but we need him back in the right frame of mind, and we need him mentally and physically healthy, and I don't know if Monte Nicholson is that right now. So hopefully he's able to get his situation squared away, because it's not a good look for him right now as it stands, and I don't know how true that report is. Again, when you get your information from TMZ, you got to pause for a second, check and verify your facts, because it's TMZ. But TMZ generally, they're paying money usually for these facts that they get and this information. So more likely than not, that's probably some factual stuff there. But we'll see what happens, where that situation goes, and what becomes of Monte in all of these developments. And so that's something to keep our eye on, as if we needed more nonsense going on with this 1-9 outfit. There's a little bit more for you to chew on. So let's get to the comment section and go through some Redskins social media maneuvers before we get out of here. And want to read from the comment section from yesterday's video. I thought there were a few pertinent comments left, and some comments I wanted to read and respond to here on the air. And I encourage you guys to leave comments if there's something on your heart. If you hear me say something and you agree or you disagree with it, leave it in the comment section. That's what that forum is there for. That's why I created this, so that we can have open dialogue every single night about the Redskins and the team that we love, so that we can open the forum to everyone. And so not just me, but other people go through the comment section and they read and they respond to your comments, and you guys can have back and forth dialogue as well. So I appreciate every single one of you guys that hits the like button, that hits the subscribe button if you haven't already done so, that shares the video, and also leaves a comment or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. There's no limit in the comment section. I definitely appreciate that as well. So we start today with Corey Fitterman, who says, at Louie T Live, yo fam, there's a lot of peeps who say draft a quarterback. And I kind of just touched on that with Dwayne at the top of the show. He says, the last time I checked, you don't build a team around the quarterback and not build the quarterback around the team. He says, just asking for a friend, because I see the Ravens did that, and go figure, they look like a Super Bowl contender in Lamar's second year. So essentially, he's saying, what about the Seattle Seahawks, Baltimore Ravens type of method or methodology in terms of building and constructing a roster, where you build the team or you insulate the quarterback with good players and then you go out and get the quarterback? Seattle did it once upon a time. Before they had Russell Wilson, they started building that bully out there in Seattle. They drafted, remember, they traded for, they signed and gave Matt Flynn big money that offseason to be their starting quarterback, but drafted Russell Wilson in the third round of that draft, and then realized very early on in the preseason, oh shit, Russell Wilson's way better than the guy we just signed. Let's start him. They started him day one. They never looked back. In that season, they ended up in the divisional round of the postseason, lost to the Atlanta Falcons. The very next year, they go to the postseason, and they make it all the way to the Super Bowl. And so the rest is history. Made it to back-to-back Super Bowls, as a matter of fact. So they built their team first. The infrastructure was in place, and then they added the quarterback, and they were ready to go. The Ravens kind of did the same thing. They had a quarterback in Joe Flacco that they believed in, but Flacco just wasn't getting it done. But the team, the infrastructure was already there. They insert Lamar Jackson, and look where they are. But they had to change everything around him too. New coordinator, new way of doing things, but they did it the right way. And so here they are, as my man Corey Fitterman said, looking to make a run at the Super Bowl this year. They are definitely one of the strong contenders in the AFC this season. He's not wrong, but not everybody has the ability to build the infrastructure of your roster and then go out and get the quarterback. I don't trust this organization to do that. So hopefully we have the quarterback, and we'll build the rest of the team around him, and hopefully we're able to win that way. But we'll see what happens. Another comment. This one from Wahoo Brad 24. He says, He said, do you think we should switch back to a 4-3 if we draft Chase Young? A 4-3 would be a better fit for him, in my opinion. I don't know what the Redskins are going to do. I think what it will really be based on is the philosophy of the guy that comes in, because obviously we're not going to have the same defensive coordinator next season, and we're not going to have the same head coach. So if the head coach that comes in is a defensive-minded guy and he plays 4-3, then the Redskins most likely are going to switch back to a 4-3 defense. If the guy that they hire is an offensive-minded coach and he goes out and gets a defensive coordinator that runs a 3-4, then the Redskins are probably going to stay in their base 3-4 and they're going to ask Chase Young to stand up, which I don't think he would have a problem with. But to me, honestly speaking, whatever he's comfortable with, that's what I would want to do. If Chase Young says, look, man, I'm much more comfortable in a 3-point stance, well, all right, then we're going to put you in a 3-point stance, brother. You're going to be comfortable. But I think he's a guy that will be comfortable in a 2-point stance, a 3-point stance, a 4-point stance. However he's aligned, I think he's going to dominate. It doesn't really matter. So I don't really know if that matters or not, but our personnel says that we probably should play a 4-3 defense. But you want to get your best players on the field, and our defensive line is the best part of our team. And let me just say, and you know what? Let me get to this next comment because it kind of ties into what I was about to say. Geo Bove says, Lou, love what you're doing, bro, but I got to disagree on some of the things you said. He says, first, let's talk about Daron Payne, who is 5th on the team in tackles. He is also 22 years old. Let the kid develop before you say he doesn't have talent. Let me stop you there. I've never said he doesn't have talent. I said he doesn't have elite talent. Okay? There's a difference. He is talented. Is he elite? Is he Chris Jones of the Kansas City Chiefs? Is he Aaron Donald? And that's, you know what? I don't even want to put Aaron Donald in this conversation because he's next level. He's in another stratosphere. Is he Chris Jones, who is a 2nd-round pick out of Mississippi State? I don't know. I just know that Chris Jones last season had 17.5 sacks. Could you ever see Daron Payne even getting 10 sacks in a season? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Is he Gerald McCoy? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I don't see it. Is he Fletcher Cox? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I don't see it. But then again, maybe I'm not giving him enough credit for some of the things that he does do, because I went back and watched the game. I said, maybe I was too hard on him. And he did some good things, but it wasn't enough. That's my thing is, if we would have drafted Daron Payne in the 2nd round, I wouldn't be this hard on him. I'm this hard on him because there were other players available at the time of that selection, and I didn't think he was worthy of the 13th overall pick. And and people are coming down really hard on Montez Sweat. I'm not going to stop them from coming down hard on Montez Sweat because I had higher aspirations. Look, I think that he has a lot of talent, and if someone else comes in, and I don't think he's being coached very well. I don't. I really don't. I don't think he's being coached well at all. But that being said, if I still thought that off of his sheer ability, he'd be able to notch 6 sacks this season. Somewhere in that 4.5 to 6 sack. I don't see him getting 4.5 sacks this year. I don't. Where is he at right now? Is he at a sack and a half? I think he's at 1.5 sacks. Let me check right now. I anticipated Montez Sweat having a ton of pressures, almost getting there and just missing, and then having another 6.5 sacks this season. And I haven't seen that from him. And it doesn't seem like he's going to do that this year for us. And that's a little bit disheartening. And that's disappointing. He's at 2.5 sacks right now. So maybe he'll make it to 4.5. All right. I envisioned 6.5 this year. I don't think he's going to make it. And I haven't seen dominance from him at all in anywhere but the run game. And I heard someone say this, and I've already said this, and I've said it many a times. Same thing I'm saying about Daron Payne. We did not draft Montez Sweat. We did not trade back into the 1st round pick. We did not give up a 2nd round pick that's looking damn good right now. I know the Indianapolis Colts are smiling ear to ear right now because that's a damn good. That 2nd round pick looks like a 1st round pick right now. But we didn't give that up for Montez Sweat to stop the run. Okay? We didn't give that up for Montez Sweat to be a dominant player in the run game. Just like you didn't draft Daron Payne 13th overall to be just an okay run defender. All right? That's not what we drafted him for. We drafted him to be a havoc wreaker up front. I didn't ask him to be 5th in tackles on the team. I want him to be 1st in blowing shit up on the team. That's what I want him to do. And then I also want him to be somewhere in the mix in the sack department too. Or pushing the pocket and collapsing some shit. I'm not seeing a lot of collapsed pockets this year. Are you? That's my problem. It's good that he's 5th in tackles. That's great. You know what else I'd like to see him do? I'd like to see him blow some shit up, and I'd like to see him get after the quarterback. Is that too much to ask? But let's go finish Gio's comment because, like I said, Gio had other things to say. He says, let the kid develop before you say he doesn't have talent. For real. He says, Jonathan Allen is not what we expected, but he's still young. Okay. I didn't know young. In this particular case, Jonathan Allen's in his 3rd season. So at this point, I would have liked to have seen more flashes from Jonathan Allen. Wouldn't you say? Guy in his 3rd year, you should start seeing something by now. If you haven't seen anything really at this point, you're probably not going to get much. And we've seen flashes from Jonathan Allen, but that was in his rookie season. That was last year. I actually feel like this, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I actually feel like Jonathan Allen has regressed this season. I thought he was trending in the right direction. I was really excited. Coming off of last season, when Jonathan Allen, let's check his stats. I think Jonathan Allen had like 8.5 sacks last year. I was really excited about Jonathan Allen coming into this season. And Jonathan Allen has, he's regressed. He had 8 sacks last year. He's got 4. He may end up with 8 sacks again this season, but they're not impactful sacks. They're not impactful sacks. It's almost like those Ryan Kerrigan 11.5 sacks at the end of the season. You look up and be like, damn, Ryan got 11.5? I don't remember but 5 of those. They're not impactful sacks. Game on the line, 3rd and 7, late in the ball game. Or 3rd down when the other team. Jonathan Allen gets 2nd and 7 sacks. Those are good too, but we're just going to give it up on 3rd and 15. I want a 3rd and 7 sack. I want a 3rd and 9 sack when we're trying to get off the damn field and get the ball back to the offense. Where's that pressure at? To force an incomplete pass because you got in the quarterback's face, flushed him from the pocket, and he had to throw it away because he wasn't ready to get rid of the football yet. Where are those at? Let me check Daron Payne because I thought he actually had a good season last year too. And to a degree, I feel like he's kind of regressed this season as well. Let me check his numbers. So last year, Daron Payne, last year he had 1 sack. This year he has 5 sacks. So the sack numbers aren't bad. They really aren't. You know, when you look at them, 5 sacks, not that bad at all. But how impactful are these 5 sacks? That's my issue. Is that, and I know you can say, well, bruh, he's getting the numbers. In this league, it's not about the actual numbers. It's about when you get those numbers. Okay? Hey, it's great to get you a 1st quarter sack. Man, it's really nice to get you a 2nd quarter sack. Hell, it's even cool to get you a 3rd quarter sack. But when the game's on the line in the 4th quarter, can I count on you to go and bag you a quarterback? To go pressure a quarterback? To go get us off the field? To go win us a ball game? I don't feel like we have that guy on the team right now. And that's really what it all boils down to. You know, I've watched the elite guys in this league. When the game's on the line, I know Aaron Donald or Chris Jones or DeForest Buckner or one of these dominant interior defensive linemen are going to make a play. That's what I'm looking for from Daron Payne. And these numbers aren't bad. But again, when are you getting these numbers? Are these garbage time sacks? Because that's what they feel like. I know a lot of people used to kill Kirk Cousins. He's getting garbage time numbers. Well, are these garbage time sacks that you putting up? Because I can't remember the last Daron Payne sack. Can you? Can you remember the last Jonathan Allen sack? I can't. Maybe you can. I can't. Anyway, back to what Gio was saying. He says, our secondary is way more concerning than the D-line. I don't disagree with that. He says, and on top of that, our linebackers are average at best. I don't disagree with that either. I think both of those are factual statements that he just made. He says, I do, in fact, agree with the tight end position because that's by far our worst position. As for the offensive line, it needs work, and I feel like we should go out and get a left tackle. The wide receiver position is looking okay, not bad or great. Terry is the real deal. Harmon is reliable. I'm not big on Trey or Paul. As for Haskins, only time will tell. Fingers are crossed. And finally, our coaching staff in front office is just trash, he says, with 4 trash can emojis. So I thought that was a great comment left by Gio Bove. Appreciate that comment. A lot of facts were spit there. And while we may agree to disagree on the defensive line and Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne, that's what we're here for, you know, to have open dialogue. And maybe I am too hard on Daron Payne, you know, but it's because I have an axe to grind. I want this man, and I said this when we drafted him, and I said that in all the videos where I chastised the Redskins for making a pick, and I'm going to continue to say this. I want Daron Payne to be good. I want him to prove me wrong, okay? I want him to be dominant and elite. I want egg on my face. I want you guys to throw it in my face that Daron Payne is kicking ass and I was wrong. You know why? Because it's beneficial to us as fans if he's good. It isn't good for us if he's mediocre. That's not a good thing. I want Daron Payne to be good. I want Payne to bring and inflict pain on the opposition. I just don't see him doing that at an elite level. That's all. That's it. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. I'm afraid that he's not going to. But as Gio Bove said, he's 22. He's in his second year. I need to practice what I preach. Patience with Daron Payne. It's just frustrating because I thought there were other guys that I'm watching ball in the league. Now, Derwin James hasn't played a snap this year, but last year the man was like a defensive gem last year. We saw what he could be in this league. I'm watching Tremaine Edmonds make play after play in Buffalo, and I'm thinking he would, and it's at a position of desperate need for this team. And I hear people say, well, what did you want the Redskins to do? We needed defensive line help. You wanted to keep getting gashed in the run game? We needed a nose tackle. Well, I wanted us to draft Tim Settle. Oh, wait, we did that. We didn't have to spend the 13th overall pick in the draft to get better to stop the run. We could have done that in the 3rd round, in the 4th round, or as we ended up doing with Tim Settle, in the 5th round. I wanted Tim Settle. I did not want to spend the 13th overall pick in the draft. For the second consecutive year in a row, I did not want to spend our 1st round pick on an interior defensive lineman. And for the second consecutive year, an interior defensive lineman that I didn't think was elite at getting pressure on the quarterback. And as I said before, if you're drafting a 1st round defensive tackle in the first 20 picks of the draft, if you want to draft a run-stopping defensive tackle, you can draft that picks 21 and back in the 1st round. Knock yourself out. First 20 picks, you picking a defensive lineman, interior or edge guy, doesn't matter. His ass better be able to get to the goddamn quarterback. Not sure if that is Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne. But as Gio Bove said, time will tell. Time will tell. In any event, it's going to do it for me, your man Louie T. Thank you for joining me here on the Redskins Nightly News. Remember, we got skin in the game. Why? Because we're Skins fans for life. And I know it may be hard at times, but we got to hang in there, man. It's going to make the journey that much sweeter, even if it takes us 45 years. Even if we got to wait Daniel Snyder's ass out, it'll make it that much sweeter when we're on top. And I can't promise you when that's going to be. We're going to talk about Bruce Allen because there's somebody that keeps telling me that Bruce Allen's going to be out of there, and he's got contacts on the inside, and he strongly believes Bruce Allen's going to be gone next year. We're going to talk about that tomorrow on the Redskins Nightly News. I'll see you then. You guys have a great night. Like this video. Subscribe to the Louie T Network if you haven't already done so. Share this video. And also make sure you comment in the comment section below of this video. And if you have a great comment, we'll read it on the air tomorrow. So you guys take care. This has been the Redskins Nightly News. Have a good one. See you tomorrow.
Louie T.